This is a fully manual 35mm SLR. Dates from the early 70s. The more recent ones, and the other camera I'll be showing in one of these clips, is a much newer version where a lot of the functions are automatic. This one, all of the functions are manual, including film loading. You'll find with most SLRs the camera is popped open by pulling up on the rewind knob. With this particular model, it's opened by turning this catch at the bottom until the back pops open. So having opened the back, I'm going to take the roll of 35mm black and white film. In this case it's Ilford HP5 Plus, and it's a 36 exposure film. You drop it up into the gap on the left hand side and thread the film across where the shutter is. Now, the shutter is a very delicate piece of equipment, and under no circumstances should it be touched, so be very careful about that. You bring it across and you'll see there's a sprocket, a geared spindle here which the film travels across, and then there's a take-up spool with a series of slots, and the film has to be threaded into one of those slots. So you tuck it in nice and securely, then you wind on twice with the back open. Once, twice, then you close the back and you wind on 3 more times. Of course you can't just continue to wind on, you have to release the shutter each time. So after winding forward 3 more times, the camera is now ready to start taking pictures. One key point before you do start is that with this fully manual camera, there's no way that the camera has of knowing how sensitive the film is, so you need to tell it. And in this particular system, you'll see a little display at the top which shows you a variety of ASAs, otherwise known as ISO, and you just select the appropriate ISO, in this case is 400. When you reach the end of the film after 36 exposures, the camera will stop allowing you to wind forward, and you'll meet resistance. If under any conditions the camera resists what you want it to do, it's doing that because you shouldn't be forcing it. And if you were to keep trying to wind forward after the film is finished, you would just tear it off the take-up, or out of the cassette, and the film would be damaged irreparably. So be very careful about that. But when you reach the end, the film wind on function will cease to work, and what you've got to do is get the film from this take-up spool back into the cassette from which the film came. And the way you do that is, if you look on the bottom, and once again there's a distinction between this camera, this fully manual camera, and more recent 35mm SLRs. Some of them will do it automatically, some of them you don't need to press the button, some of them you need to press 2 buttons and a motor does the job for you. In this case you need to do it manually. So the button gets pressed and that releases the mechanism inside, frees it up so that you can now rotate the rewind knob in the direction of the arrow, and there will always be an arrow somewhere in the vicinity, often it stamped into the take-up lever itself, and you just keep rewinding until the film goes loose. When the film is loose, then you simply pop the back open again, remove the film, put a fresh roll in if you want to continue shooting, and go through that same process again.